Hello, hi. I'd like to make a video on how to create an amortization table using Excel. I opened up an Excel file, as you can see on here. Let's put in some basic information. First, maybe we want our house price, whatever that might be. The term, that's the number of years. APR, which is annual percentage rate. Let's look at payments per year. You might want a start date. Okay, that's enough to at least get us started. And based off this information, I'm going to see. Let's start filling this out. If we get a house, if you buy a house here on the North Shore of Hawaii, a starter home might look at, I don't know, $1 million. I'm going to format this to look like a currency. There we go. It looks a little better. If you're getting it's common to get a mortgage for 30 or 15 years here in the United States. I'll put 30 years for this one. Interest rate APR, let's go maybe 7.75%. Payments per year. Now, it's pretty common to get a monthly mortgage, which takes 12 months in a year. So I'll input the value of 12. A start date, how about if we put 1/1/24, January 1st, 2024. Okay, then we have some information that we can put in. Let's start using Excel to create some calculations. Payment due. We want to input the payment amount. The formula you'd want to use is called payment. And when I start to input this, you'll notice it gives you some hints about what I want to put in there. The interest rate, we're looking at 7.75%. Because we're paying this every month, we're going to divide it by the number of payments per year. And that's the number of total payments over the life of the loan. We're making 30-year payments or 30 years for 12 months. So we could type in 360 or type in, let Excel do the math for us, 30 times 12. Present value, I'm going to put a negative sign in front of this so the whole thing turns out positive. The house price is $1 million. That's the present value of the loan. I mean, really, what I could have, anyways, I'll just keep it at that. Keep it simple. That means every month I'll have a payment of $7,164.12 if I'm borrowing $1 million for a home. That's a lot of money, but so is $1 million. I'm going to add some columns that we might need. Number, date, beginning balance. Hopefully I can type this correctly. Interest, payment, principal. I'm doing that for short. Principal payment, additional principal. Let's see, ending balance. And if we want to, I'll just let Excel do some of the calculation for me. We are doing 30 years times that number of payments. Now I've got 1 to 360. It's already populated. That makes it a bit easier. If you want to go really fast, if you're selected something, hold down the control and then use the arrow key. That will go to the end of records. If you're using Mac, I think instead of control is command. Okay, and I am going to, just to make it easier to see, I'm going to freeze payments right here. Okay, the date, of course, we are going to start off with our initial date. Let's add 1 month because this is a monthly thing. We're going to add, let's see, I'm going to write a little formula to add the year for that month. But we're adding 1 month every time. I'll just do one. Say they are doing it. Payments are usually due the first of every month. I have not seen the payment otherwise, but at least that's what I've seen. So now that it's formulaic, I can just copy this all the way down. I'm going to double click on this thing, pops it all the way down. Okay, let me widen these columns a little bit. Our beginning balance, we're starting off with $1 million. So we put $1 million right there. And actually, I'm going to come in here. Okay. Our interest payment, when you borrow money from the bank, the first part of your payment always goes to the bank. When you make that $7,164.12 payment, the bank gets paid first. Let's calculate what that is. We have our interest rate, and I'm going to hit F4. Let's see, and which will anchor that down. So when I copy it all the way down, I mean, really, I don't have to anchor the column, but I definitely want the row anchored. So when I'm going to copy the cell all the way down, and I will want it to point to B3 because that's our interest rate. But for that month, that's an annual percentage rate, and we are making this. Oh, actually, I guess I can do this too. That's the number of payments that we have, and so I'm going to anchor that as well because that's the amount of interest. This would be the interest rate. If all I did was look at B3 divided by B4, that is the amount of interest per month. We took that annual percentage rate and made it into a monthly percentage rate. And that amount, I'm going to multiply it by the beginning balance. So the bank has, on the first of the month, they say, okay, you have $1 million loan with us. We'll apply the monthly interest rate, which is 7.75% divided by 12. Multiply that to the balance. So when you make that first payment, almost all of it goes towards servicing the loan. That's the interest part. The principal payment is everything that gets left over. And so to compute that, I will look at the payment due, and I'll anchor that. So that's cell B6 minus the amount of the interest. And so that first month, the loan gets paid down of that initial payment that I'm obligated to give to the bank. It's $7,500.79 is actually paying down the loan. All the rest of that is interest. If I want to make an additional principal payment, which might be a good thing to do, let's say I put in $200 or some amount. I guess, I mean, I can put in zero. That's just a placeholder. Let's format this so it looks like a currency. There we go. And the ending balance at the end of January, for having made that payment, is the beginning balance minus the principal payment minus the additional principal. And that's it. And so now, for that $1 million loan, because of those two payments, the required monthly payment and the additional principal, paid it down almost $1,000. And I should point it out, these two numbers right here, they need to add up. And if you look down here, they need to add up to what the payment amount is, and they do. Anything above that's great. Okay, the beginning balance for the next month is going to be the ending balance for the previous month. And I'm going to copy this formula all the way down. And then if I wrote these appropriately, I can just copy these all the way down. Now, if you want to do a quick check at the very end, these ought to be at zero. Oh, and it's not because I'm going to put 0 in here. Make sure I have this set up correctly. Set the initial additional principal payment says 0. So if I come down here at the very end, we are at $0, which means, like, for example, in September 2053, when we make that full payment, almost $7,000 of that is paying down the principal. Well, that's great. That's really the nuts and bolts of how you would make an amortization table when you have additional principal payments. And I did have, let's see, actually, let me share something over here. I went ahead in getting ready for this. Let's see, shared screen. Okay. Let me share this other graph that I made. I made this one just a little more snazzy. I added some extra formulas in here. I wanted to show what happens when you make additional payments. Oh yeah, I guess I did add a payoff date. I made a VLOOKUP formula where I look up the date for there and across the table and to figure out what the ending balance is. So now if I put in some date, I'll know what the ending balance is. If I add additional $1,000 in here, that makes the payoff date a lot sooner. That means, I mean, I should maybe I should write a formula for that. But that means we're paying off the entire loan in 2044. That's almost 9 years by paying it early. Even if I were to just make an additional payment, $1,000 payment on the very first loan, that just took off the payments, took off a couple of payments. There's two less payments I have to make there. So really paying additional at the beginning is always is a great thing. I mean, the more you can pay, well, that's a lot of money. You can do something like that, you'll pay it off really quickly. But really, having this additional principal thing is pretty handy because if you create this for your own mortgage, and everyone, most of the time, most of us, when we're paying things down, we might make, a couple $100 payment, but once in a while, maybe at the end of the year, our boss likes what we do. We'll get a little bit of a bonus, and we'll come back to what it was initially, and we can add those in there. And as you add, as the more additional principal payments you make, the faster you'll pay it off. Anyways, I hope this tutorial was useful, and that can help you with creating amortization table when you do your own personal budget. And you could use this for any type of a loan that you borrow money from.